Every now and then a Rocket League goal comes along that just kind of makes you raise your eyebrow, maybe scratch your head. You're just left there sitting and thinking and wondering how that happened. How did they accomplish that? Sometimes there are also goals that are just so silly, you can't help but laugh a little bit because they're just crazy. And sometimes these weird moves can be gateways into discovering new mechanics and maybe even changing the meta. So let's be honest, I'm sure when Wavedashing was first discovered, plenty of people thought that it was weird. Like, why don't you just flip, you know? But now Wavedashing is a core, fundamental part of high-level Rocket League and high-level gameplay. You have to be able to do this to recover, and it's not just some silly thing. Now, does that mean that these moves and goals are going to become the next big thing? Probably not. Maybe some of them, but most of them probably not. But they will definitely capture your attention and make you go, wow, that's cool. So that's what I have for you today. 8 more weird Rocket League moves that are weird, and they're in Rocket League. All right, guys, before we go any further, I've got to tell you about the sponsor for today's video, which happens to be NordVPN. Now, I know all of you, especially right now, are spending lots of more time on the internet than you probably even would normally. And if you're like me, then you're probably suspicious of how the internet works and what people are doing with your data. Maybe you've just been targeted directly with ads just because you search for something, or maybe you just don't feel like your information is safe when you're on the internet. And so a VPN is really an amazing thing that allows you to use the internet sort of as it's meant to be used, with kind of an envelope over your information. But NordVPN is so much more than just that. I remember when I was in Madrid for RLCS, and after the matches one of the nights, I was going to watch a UFC fight on ESPN Plus, and I couldn't because I was in Spain. So I jumped on Nord and was able to connect to a network here in the US and actually get around that. So there's endless things like that you can really only get through this. Like, you wouldn't be able to do it otherwise. Seriously, you guys have to check this out. Right now, if you go to nordvpn.com/FLuuMP and use code FLuuMP at checkout, you can get 70% off of a 3-year plan plus 1 free month. So that's 70% off of a 3-year plan plus 1 free month when you go to nordvpn.com/FLuuMP and use code FLuuMP at checkout. Go check out the site. Link is right there in the description just to make it easy for you guys, and try it out. All right, guys, let's jump right back in. Number 8 comes to us from ErnieRL on Twitter and from WolfpackRL on Instagram. Now, they're doing this thing that Ernie is calling Horsedashing. They're basically chaining wave dashes back and forth, and it creates something wild. Some of you would say something beautiful. You can see Ernie using it to score a goal in training, but he actually also does it to score a double touch in an actual game, which is pretty impressive. Meanwhile, you've got Wolfpack over here, just kind of vibing, you know? You know, it kind of starts to attract a crowd, like he's playing Dance Dance Revolution or something. I honestly, I can't help but laugh whenever I see this clip. Just look how silly this is. It honestly looks like somebody broke Rocket League, like he's lagging or something. But this actually got me thinking, do you guys think that this mechanic could actually be useful in a competitive environment? I don't know, I kind of think that it could be. I think using these weird chained wave dashes could be the ultimate way to fake your opponent. And it seems like these guys have it down pretty well, like they're pretty consistent at it, so they could easily pull it off in like a high pressure situation. It's just coming up with a situation where the goal is actually, you know, something that makes sense with it. I don't know, I guess we'll just have to see. All right, so the next one comes from OwaliRL on Instagram, and this one definitely isn't quite as weird and quirky as the last one was, but it is pretty weird. I don't really know if I've ever seen this before. It's basically a 0 boost pre-flip flip reset. And I mean, it makes sense in theory. You're basically just getting your car to the ball to get the flip reset. And pre-flipping is like a way to sort of get your car to the ball in a different way. And in this case, he gets a flip reset from it. I don't know if I've ever seen this before. So it's a flip reset pre-flip, or a pre-flip reset, or a pre-flip flip reset, whatever. Anyways, he ends up using his last little bit on the wall, but for some reason in his head, he's thinking, you know, this would be the perfect time to go for a flip reset. I have no boost, I'm on the wall, easy. Like, why would you decide to go for something with no boost off the wall? I don't know. He just pre-flips, gets his flip back, and then flops into it and puts it in top shelf. Man, these people have like some pretty high IQ to do this stuff. All right, wave dashes are actually super useful and they're so versatile. It's amazing all of the different crazy weird ways that we've come up with to use them. So this clip by JSU Design on Reddit was pretty nutty. We know that wave dashes are usually used for getting speed on the ground whenever you don't want to use your flip for whatever reason, but here he uses one on the ceiling. He does a wave dash on the ceiling into a ceiling shot double touch. And the more that I watch this clip, the more that I think it wouldn't have been possible had he not used his flip to wave dash on the ceiling. This has actually been used in RLCS before as well by Shawset45 in one of their matches against TSM. I actually think that this one could be quite useful, but having tried it, I must say that it is actually so much harder than it looks. So I remember scrolling through Reddit some time ago and I saw this clip by Dang Commies, and he does this thing that he is calling the Sonic Flip. Basically, the player, who is a gold player, I should mention, managed to do a front flip and flip directly into a wave dash. So when I saw this clip the first time, I actually thought that it was going to become a real thing and something that I would see and probably use in my matches all the time. But it's been almost a year since he posted this clip and I have yet to see people really do this. I mean, I think some people have done it, but it hasn't become like a big thing. And it kind of surprises me that this isn't one of those things that people are trying to replicate, because it could really be useful and like literally could be a game changer. All right, so RL Saucy hit this goal on Twitter, and although I've seen things sort of similar to this, I've never seen one that was exactly like this. This one's pretty weird, but kind of in a cool way. He basically pops the ball up, follows it, stands his car up on his backside, and then lets the ball fall into him and pop it up into a sort of air dribble. I'm not sure how useful this specifically could be. I can't imagine it being like more or less useful than some other kind of creative shot, but I just thought that it was a really neat little goal scored in a very weird way. It's not something that really surprises you, it's definitely been done before, but it's also not something that you see a whole lot. So this next one I actually came across from that mechanical mustard man. Now he does quite literally the inverse of the last clip. So he sort of nosedives into the ground, and in the first clip you can see that he uses it and sort of turns it into a musty flick. But the second one is what really caught my attention. He lands directly on his nose, kind of slides for a bit, and then right whenever he's baited his opponent into challenging the ball, he jumps out of the nosedive and surprises him with a shot. Seeing him use this as a kind of way to fake or bait his opponent was definitely interesting. Now, is it more useful than just doing an actual fake? Probably not, but it's pretty entertaining and pretty awesome. Okay, so this one comes from FLuuMP on Reddit. And yeah, it kind of hurts my brain. He basically does like a fakey flip reset, a fakey reset. Yeah, we could call it that. He takes the ball into the air, rolls his car forward to land his wheels on the ball, and gives himself his backflip. And then he does a backflip musty to shoot it in. Now this is such a weird and interesting way to do a flip reset. I don't think that I've ever seen this before. And I feel like this one could actually be like a viable way to score if you could master it. I would really like to see this shot again from the view of the opponents, because I mean, like, how hard is this to read? I feel like this is going to be like virtually impossible to read what he's doing. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like this shot could definitely throw off pretty much any defender. All right, so our final one is again from Reddit, and this is from Prevail Cow, and he hits what he decided to call the cow flick. Great, another move named after a cow. I'm just kidding, I'm kidding. So he does this really weird delayed diagonal pre-flip into the ball to catch it with his nose right at the end of the flick. But if this was something that you could like master to where you could do it every time, this would definitely be a viable move in Rocket League. It has to be so confusing when you're on defense and someone just comes right at you doing some of the weird stuff that we've seen, and especially this one. I love Rocket League because I feel like there's no end to people coming up with new weird ways to score and strange things to do. And if you've spent any time practicing things like flip resets, in my case I was just practicing like getting better at double flip resets, and I randomly just started doing some odd things. Like I did a musty flick in the air that I'd never really done, but I wasn't even trying to do that. And that's what happens a lot of times, is you try different things and you end up doing other things. So let me know what you guys thought of some of these goals and how useful they could be. I keep thinking back to the Sonic flip. If people were doing that, if people were mastering that, I don't know, I feel like it'd be so cool. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you come across any weird shots or mechanics, or if you hit them yourself, just post them on Twitter and just put @FLuuMP90 to tag me, and hopefully I'll see them. Anyways, we'll see you guys next time. Peace out.